that psychotic smile on my face. Oh man. I'm Dan Crozier, and I'm sitting here with Polka Dottie.
Hello.
Thank you for having us over at your house.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. Anyway, we're here with COFOH Live and Undead, and we're specifically talking about a show, Victorian horror show that you're putting together, right?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us about it.
So March 7th, which is in a few weeks, I am producing a show. It's called In Darkness,
Nice.
and it's at the Savoy at Curtis Park on Arapahoe Street, and it is a burlesque and theater kind of combo.
Nice.
And so we are doing the traditional burlesque acts that people may or may not have seen, but we are putting them all in this very theatrical wrapping of this story of the ghost of the building, basically.
Oh, okay.
So the ghost of the building is the host of the show, and so she's going to take us on a journey through her life and through these stories. Each story is as if she is reading the story to us, because the idea is that in death, the only thing that followed her were her books, which were her most prized possessions in life.
Okay.
And, what kind of book would she have if she died in 1905?
Yeah.
They'd be Victorian era horror novels, because that was very, very popular. So we have all of the famous authors, some that people maybe have never heard of. But, of course, we're going to have Arthur Conan Doyle, nice. Poe. We'll have some Dracula, Mary Shelley.
Oh, okay, fantastic.
Yeah, a lot of the favorites.
Nice. Who was the writer of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I'm drawing a blank too. That's why I'm putting that out there. Huh? Maybe somebody you would know. I don't know.
Yeah.
All two of you that are watching right now.
Yeah, I always forget specifics. I actually wrote myself some notes just in case you asked.
Oh,
but I didn't write down that.
I was going to jump ahead. It's like, ooh, H.P. Lovecraft, but he was actually a couple generations.
He was after, because I wanted to put some Lovecraft, but it didn't work out because he would have been doing it after she was already dead. Right. Yeah. Yeah, when I was looking for acts from the performers, some of them I asked for, they had specific acts that already worked, and some of them I asked if they were interested in doing something new, and I had to have that very specific rule of, it has to be pre-1905. Okay. Which, leaves out some very good things. Yeah, so it sounds like you have a fantastic, show that's put together. Kind of a nice assortment of talent, too. Yeah. So, my friend Tatiana Tatas is in it. Yes, so we have some really amazing performers. I actually have a list. So fantastic! No problem. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh, and look at the poster. This is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah. So if you're interested, go to Eventbrite. It's called In Darkness, and the picture looks like that. Mm-hmm. We'll post the Facebook page back on our page as well underneath this, and then underneath the video, and then for the event page too that we have for this. Yeah. Yeah. So. Oh, geez. Yeah, you have quite the list. Is this a film you're producing? Well, so we have. We're gonna have a couple group acts, which are always really fun. Those always tend to bring the audience down. So I had to have more performers than maybe you would normally have, because sometimes when you do a show, you'll have everyone do 2 acts. Oh, nice. Okay. But this time pretty much everyone's doing 1 act and maybe a group act. Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So there's let's see. There's 12 performers, and then we've got 2 actors. So but we've got some people that are absolutely amazing at horror. Burlesque is kind of its own specific thing. Tatiana Tata is one of the top Denver performers for that. And nice. There's a couple others who are really very good at that. We have some of them. There are scheduling conflicts with some of the others, but and then you had a theater group too that you were working
with, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the Savoy at Curtis Park is owned by, it's a theater group called Theater Artibus, and they are actually a group of local clowns.
What?
Yeah. But
that's amazing.
Yeah. But they do a lot of really amazing shows. They recently did one there called Recipe, and it was this really beautiful show that they collected stories from the people that lived in the neighborhood in the past, and they looked up the history of the building. Some of that information I'm actually incorporating into my show, and they did little scenes for this show, kind of showing you like throughout the ages what this building has been and what the neighborhood's been.
Nice.
And it was kind of, the reason they put it on was a lot of, because things are changing so much around Denver, they wanted to talk about what it was originally and who used to live there. 27th and Arapahoe is one of those neighborhoods that was traditionally a lot of people of color and a lot of lower income people, and it's changed a lot over the years. But it was a really beautiful show, and I'm working with them on this show.
Oh, good.
Nice. Yeah, they own the building, and they've been really great to work with.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Polka Dottie, I love that stage name. That's so fun. How long have you been putting on shows, and you're also a burlesque performer, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been performing for about 5.5 years at this point.
Okay.
And I started producing about 1.5 years ago.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. My first show was a Disney themed show. It's called the Wonderful World of Burlesque, and that's become a yearly show.
Nice.
Every year is a different show with different castmates, and just a completely different set of acts, but the theme is of course the same. It's all traditional Disney, Pixar, and basically everything you'd want to ruin your childhood. That's
excellent. That's
my line, is I'm the showgirl that wants to ruin your childhood. Do a lot of nostalgia.
Better than doing that than going to see like a live action Transformers film.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm a big fan of performers that can take you on a journey. And the great thing about burlesque is it's a very short journey. So you have to pack this story into 3-4 minutes. And those are my favorite acts, are the ones that, you watch it, and from, beginning to end, you're taken on this journey. And by the end, you know exactly what they were trying to say. Yeah. And sometimes you do a story that's completely independent, and they have to take you on a little bit more of a journey because they have to tell you who they are and what they're doing. But then sometimes when it comes to a show like this or Disney, you already know who they are. And so then it turns into a thing of like, okay, well, how can you create an act that even if someone knows that character, like they're still happy? Nice. I always pride myself off of like doing things as accurate as possible. Okay. So if they have a scar on their left cheek, it will not be on my right cheek. Okay. Because it's a little bit like cosplay in that way. Yeah. And some people, that is something of concern to them, and sometimes it's not. It just, every performer, it's different how far they want to take that dedication. Yeah. And as you mentioned, with the like a cosplay aspect, I didn't even realize the costuming and everything that does go into burlesque and everything. And it can definitely translate or be seen to translate into something like cosplay. I guess the performance aspect and the dedication to that is probably would be the distinction, right? The separation of the two. Would you think, or no? It depends on the performer what the separation is, because some performers do cosplay also. Right. So like what they are going to do is going to be completely accurate to the character as if they were going to a con. Yeah. And then some performers, it's just like a fun little thing they're trying on. And, maybe if you are hardcore into that character, you won't like certain aspects, you won't agree with like their choice to do certain things. It's very performer to performer way they want to do that. Especially something like burlesque, you have to come up with some reason why they might be taking their clothes off.
Yeah.
And sometimes the reason is because I'm here to do that. And sometimes you come up with some kind of crazy story about like, oh no, my thing ripped. And so I guess now I have to rip it off. And oops, now there's nothing there.
So you're saying there's a very thick script.
It's, there is with me. Like,
yeah.
It's very person to person. Like, I mean, like I said, some people, it's literally, because I am supposed to. That's the reason. But I always try to figure out when I do, especially a character that people know, like, why would they be doing this?
Sure.
I did a Daria act once, and I did it a couple times and then just kind of abandoned it because I couldn't figure out what her motivation was. I was like, well, I don't understand why she'd be doing this.
Right.
So until I figure that out, I'm going to leave that on the back burner. At some point I'll figure it out.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, that would be great to see. Yeah. I remember the cartoon, Art School, Daria on MTV.
Oh yeah.
That was
part of my childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
I had a very dark childhood in terms of my interests.
Okay.
So a lot of the inspiration for this show is the fact that growing up I was very, very into the Victorian horror stories. I was like a little fourth grader reading, The Cask of Amontillado and just like, oh, being kept in a brick wall, that sounds terrible.
Yeah.
While I eat my little snack pack. But yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Well, you don't really hear too many kids like growing up with that kind of literature too. So it sounds like you had great exposure.
Yeah, I'm very lucky that when I was growing up, they weren't watching what kids were reading quite as much as I think they do now. Because I think they would have probably thought I was like there was something wrong because I was reading all about like the Titanic and Victorian horror stories and stuff about like concentration camps and like all these terrible sad things. It's like a fourth grader. And I feel like nowadays they'd be like, come to the principal's office, we need to talk. Yeah. But I don't know, I guess you never outgrow your morbid curiosities. Sometimes they start very young.
Well, and to be fair, you probably shouldn't outgrow those. True. How else are you going to maintain that curiosity? I think that's what makes us unique as human animals. So with all the Victorian influence on this show, it sounds like it's storied out and it's scripted, and you've been producing shows for the last year and a half or so. I think, not on here, but earlier when we were talking, you were talking about a PBS.
Yeah. So
that sounded fun.
Last April, I did a PBS themed show, and it was set up as if it was almost like a different world where when Mr. Rogers went to Congress to ask for the money, they told him no. And so how would he come up with it but to like put on the telethon of the century? Yeah. And so it was, we had our pledge drive hosts, and we had people in the background answering phones the whole time. Nice. And then we had all of your favorite characters. I made sure to kind of mix it up. There were some childhood shows, some not. So we had, Bob Ross, we had Cosmos, we had Big Comfy Couch. Oh, wow. Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, of course, Sesame Street. It was just all across the PBS land. Nice. That sounds absolutely wonderful. I wish I knew about it. Oh. That's all right. It looks like Ian Smith chimed in. Hi, guys. Sounds interesting. Hi, yes, Ian, go and get your tickets now. Yes. Every show I've done so far is sold out. Oh, fantastic. I don't want to jinx myself. Okay. But I am encouraging people to buy early, especially because I have I have some tables available. If people don't want to have their drink on their lap, they want an actual table, and it seats up to 3 people. Nice. And those are only available pre-sale. So if people want to bring two friends and have a table and just kind of make a night of it.
Yeah.
They have to buy those ahead of time. Otherwise, they as long as we still have tickets available, we are doing at the door. They're a little more expensive that way, but then it's just general admission, which is just a regular seat.
Nice. And with kind of bouncing back and forth, really, with burlesque as a performance art, I mean, it goes back quite a ways.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not the best person to ask for in terms of specific dates.
Sure.
I'm a little learned on it, but we have some amazing local people that are they know all the history. One of our local performers, she's actually retired at this point, Vivian Baboom.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, she's written books and stuff.
Yeah.
She knows all about that. But yeah, it does. It goes back quite a while. It originated with vaudeville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Which is a lot of my inspiration comes from the more vaudevillian side of things. Mm-hmm. I like the idea of taking things that people know and making fun of them.
Right.
So a lot of that inspiration kind of makes its way into what I do. But yeah, originally, I guess the original term for burlesque, it means to make fun of, basically.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So it's kind of that atmosphere of parody and satire.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's interesting because there are so many different kinds of burlesque. You've got your very classical, which is what a lot of people think of with the gloves and the sequins and very beautiful. And then you've got some that is neo burlesque. That's one way of saying the newer stuff. Mm-hmm. And some of that we've got horrorlesque, mm-hmm. which can be blood and gore and gross. We've got nerdlesque.
Yep.
We've got boylesque.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different versions, but
there's a lot of lesques.
Yeah, whatever you are into, there is a show for you. It's just a matter of finding it.
Right.
And what I'm hoping with the show is to kind of get some of those people that are into maybe a little bit of horror, mm-hmm. a little bit more of the theater side,
nice.
People that just like to be told stories and kind of get them, maybe even a little bit of history nerds.
Yeah.
I am using some of the history of the building to kind of capture the story. The host, like I said, it's the ghost of the building. She will reference people even in passing, where she's at one point she's talking about the grocer next door, and that is we don't know anything about this person, but they were the grocer who was in that building at that time.
Nice.
Yeah.
It sounds like you like putting on shows that are layered.
Yes, I love layers. I love layers. I love stories. I love taking people on journeys and kind of letting them decide what they want to get out. Are you just looking to be titillated? We can do that. Mm-hmm. Do you want to follow a whole storyline? We can do that as well. It's this great way of kind of encompassing all these different art forms, which I enjoy.
Nice. That's wonderful. And you're also a seamstress too, right?
I am, yeah. So my muggle job is I'm a seamstress. I went to fashion school and did the local fashion scene for several years. Nice. And then I took a little break because the economy was really bad at that time, and just started sewing for other people. And that's actually what I still do for a living now, is I sew for other people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but I am hoping to get back into the fashion side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your own fashions?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I do vintage inspired, mostly dresses.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
That sounds fun. Is there, and stop me if I'm being too prying, but is there any place that we can, see some of your fashion work?
I still have a Facebook group up for my old company, which would have been Incroyables by Melissa May, but it hasn't been updated in many, many years at this point. When I was putting all this stuff on Facebook, that was before Instagram and all those. So it's kind of the only place. And I used to have a website, but that kind of went away as well. So kind of, but once I bring my stuff back, I will be re-showing all of those pictures, just kind of like a room, like a flashback type of thing.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kind of hard doing fashion in, around 2008, which is when I kind of got started because no one was buying anything because they didn't have jobs.
Yeah.
So that made it very difficult. But now that hopefully things will be a little better.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get back into it.
It seems like with the burlesque and the the productions that you're working on too. I would think that doing fashion design would just slide in to as a kind of a parallel.
I think they do work together pretty well.
Yeah.
I actually think if I wanted to do costumes, I could definitely make the two fit together very neatly.
Yeah.
Costumes aren't my strong point, though. I can do them for myself, mostly as a money-saving thing, but whenever it comes to other people, I just think there's people who are better at it than me. I tend to be better at, like, creating things completely from scratch with my own motivations rather than trying to figure out what you need and what fits your character. But I think that they are two circles that are definitely touching.
Yeah.
Especially a lot of burlesque performers have an interest in vintage fashion, and that's my main inspiration. So there are two worlds that seem like they'd be very far apart, but actually I think are pretty close together.
Yeah. Along with that too, it's like, clearly, we're Colorado Festival of Horror, so obviously horror is something that absolutely, we just gravitate towards.
Yes.
With burlesque and like some of the sci-fi horror films that you think of in the 50s, like a lot of those black and white photos of burlesque performers and stuff, all that vintage, to me it just creates striking images and references.
Well, it's very interesting too because there is this like history of burlesque performers performing in sometimes horror, sometimes just like B movies.
Right.
I feel the two worlds I don't think are that far apart.
No, not at all. Yeah,
the same people, just kind of a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, well, we are, I think, some of the best people.
The weirdos. Yeah.
Yes, most definitely. I think there needs to be more of us, to make the world run a little bit smoother, and at least have more interesting, things to talk about too, and work on. What you were talking about, in your youth, as a little girl, right? Reading some Victorian novels. Did you ever gravitate towards film and things like that?
I've always been very interested in scary stories.
Okay.
But I tend to have to watch more of the the tame ones.
Okay.
I can't watch blood and gore.
Oh, okay.
My body rejects it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it actually leaves a lot of really great movies out. Sometimes I actually will look up a movie that sounds interesting and read the plot because I'm just like, I know I can't watch this, so I'll have to read about it instead. But Victorian horror actually works out pretty well because they didn't tend to have a lot of the blood and gore.
Right.
So a lot of the movies I have seen tend to fall either under like that type of thing or movies kind of like The Others where it's like a PG-13 version of a scary movie.
Yeah. Incidentally, there's a number of like slasher films too that never had blood or gore.
Yeah.
So like Halloween was one, and then like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one, the one that you would think would have the most. Yeah, didn't have that. Still very visceral. Yeah. I don't recommend watching it if you're squeamish of heart, because I still get freaked out when I watch it.
Yeah. Those are very intense movies for sure.
Right.
I used to watch some of them on TV because for a while they would show like Friday the 13th and they would just cut out some of the gory parts. It takes up huge chunks, but you can kind of get the general storyline.
Yeah, you understand what's going on.
Yeah, so I used to do that. Yeah, it's pretty funny how interested in horror I am, despite the fact that I can't watch most of it. Yeah,
I totally understand. Well, and like that's kind of like one of the tropes now. It's like you see edited stuff on on TV, and whether it's like foul language or bloody violence, you got big chunks edited out, or you got you get bleeped or something like that. I mean, that's stuff now you just like take that and throw it into South Park.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it becomes kind of intuitive. It's like, oh yeah, you're shielding us from this stuff.
Yeah, protecting us from all that naughty language.
Yeah. Yeah. But now I totally get it. Sometimes the stuff that you see on television is just really too graphic, and there's a lot of horror movies that like I have a hard time sitting down watching like any of the Saw movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have seen the first one.
Okay.
But the rest of them I know. I can't.
Yeah, it's tough.
I do like that one of them though. All of the contraptions are from the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, which one is that?
Someone will know.
Yeah.
Is it 2, 3?
Yeah. Brett,
one of the earlier ones.
Brett, you joined. Brett, where is which Saw movie is that from? Where it's the Spanish Inquisition, all the traps and stuff. Incidentally, Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson are going to be in like a Saw revival reboot.
Yeah.
Or sequel, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know, called Spiral.
Uh-huh.
I was like, wow, now I'm actually interested in that series.
I think that a lot of people are finding really interesting ways of kind of making you interested in something that's already been like done to death. Right. Because I feel like Jordan Peele's doing a lot of that stuff where like he's bringing all these things that maybe have been done to death, and suddenly we're really interested. Yeah,
I think definitely with new not necessarily a new perspective, but the Black and African American perspective, because horror has not been kind to women and to minorities at all.
There were these little it's not really a meme, but like little things this month for Black History Month, where it was about horror specifically. And it was talking about the first Black character to be like the end girl. Okay. And it was in like the 90s. It was not that long ago. Okay. I was like, wow. That's pretty pathetic. Right. Yeah. Wow. The first Black girl to be the final girl. Huh? Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I didn't realize that was that recent. I want to say it might have been like I Know What You Did Last Summer, something like that. Oh, okay. Brett's checking on that Saw reference. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Was it one of the sequels? It probably. I think there's two. I think it might have been Brandy who was the last girl. Oh, okay. It's been so long. So don't hold me to that. That would make sense too if it was Brandy. Yeah. As well. Yeah, because she was so huge for a while. Yeah. I remember the 90s. Yeah. I was young and chipper back then. Now I'm old and tainted. Quite. Yeah, life does that to all of us, and that's why we need horror movies. Right. We need to escape. It's and at the same time too, horror movies are a fantastic analogy for some of the things that we have to deal with and cope with. So while it's not kind to a lot of people, there's still some amazing tropes that are worthwhile or worth investigating. But yeah. So yeah, with the burlesque and with the productions, I mean, and it's not unlike a film production. I mean, I see your list. Yeah. It is a lot of people that you have to kind of get and it's a lot of people wrangling for sure, because you've got your performers, and then I tend to have like one or two hosts, because you have to have someone who's telling people what's going to be next. Right. And then you have what are called stage kittens, which are the people that clean up all the things. They're basically the set decorators. Right. And so they clean everything and set everything up. And I always have two, because like my shows tend to be very like over the top. So like, oh great. And also like, got to keep on time. You want to do it quickly. Yeah. And then sometimes you have a stage manager. Sometimes you have maybe like security, someone to work the front, and it's always like one long list, and it's always on one person to take care of it, basically.
Yeah, it sounds like you're putting on your own mini convention or festival.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've helped on other people's festivals before. I've never done my own, but there's definitely a little bit of that. I mean, hopefully with festivals you have a lot more people to help.
Right. Yeah. Putting these things together. I mean, that's pretty much its own day job in and of itself.
Yeah. And I wish this could be my day job.
Yeah.
I would love it, but it's just not a very lucrative field. You do it because you love it.
Right. Well, hopefully, you'll be able to work towards, something like that as well. That's probably the dream for everybody.
Yeah. But like there are ways. It just kind of involves a lot of hustling.
Right.
So you gotta be in for the hustle.
For a show like this, and I don't know if you've thought about it, but it just came to my mind. What would it take to put it on the road to do a couple cities?
I would actually love to do touring shows at some point. It becomes difficult in that not everyone is able to travel who does burlesque. There's a lot of people who, whether it's money or they can't get off time off of work or whatever, because it's not most of our day jobs. It's usually just like a side hobby or part-time job, depending on how the person treats it.
Right.
Yeah, it just makes it difficult. But I would like to do something on the road at some point. It would probably be a much smaller cast.
Okay.
And it'll probably be sectioned off. So maybe, okay, we go to these cities on this weekend, and then we go back to our jobs. And then we go and do this, and then we go back to our jobs. That's unfortunately usually what has to happen.
Yeah. It can be a tough track to follow.
Yeah, but it's kind of one of my dreams for sure.
Yeah, that's like the rock and roll lifestyle right there.
Yeah. And I like it. I like doing the tours, and
nice.
We have a lot of festivals in burlesque, and most states have some version of one. Some states have several, and it's always really fun to apply to them and kind of treat it like it's almost like a working vacation. Yeah. So you tend to try out for ones that you want to go visit them.
Right. Especially cities you want to go see.
Yeah. There's I do a lot of driving because I do a lot of big propped acts.
Okay.
And so my rule is kind of if I can get there within 12 hours, or if it's a place that I really, really want to go to, then I'll do an overnight someplace.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. There's one in Hawaii, and I haven't applied yet, but that's at some point, because Hawaii.
It's an expensive flight, but but I definitely recommend it. I've been to Hawaii. It's absolutely stunning. Yeah. It looks like Brett. He says it's likely Saw 2.
I wanted to say that. I think that's correct. Because I remember reading about it when it came out, so that would have been a while ago.
Okay.
But I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, I think I've only seen the first 3 Saw movies. Yeah.
Well, I don't think they made a big deal of it. I think it was just one of those things where, when you read the behind the scenes, they're like, oh yeah, this was all inspired by the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't have been publicized per se.
Yeah. It's all in the production house.
Yeah. But that makes it even more disturbing when you watch something and you're like, yeah, so they really did this to someone at some point. Right.
Unfortunately, I think there's a good amount, not everything, that from that film series that they actually did do at some point in human history.
We're the worst.
We are. We were tremendously cruel to each other.
Yeah.
And still are. Yay! Fucking human evolution.
Yeah, but that's why I think that's why a lot of us who put together shows do it. So that people have that sense of escape to kind of forget that the world is terrible.
Yeah, well, it's a great way to to bring everybody together.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, hopefully everyone has similar goals and the love of whatever it is, and it can be a very positive environment, hopefully.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. With that history of vaudeville and burlesque, right? You've got the circus arts that kind of came out of that, and sideshow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parallels.
Yeah, and I actually have some really fun circus type performers in the show.
Oh, great!
Yeah, a couple.
Is there anybody that you can name, or?
Brian Connolly. He does this really cool thing called contact juggling. He'll be there.
Contact juggling.
So
what is that?
It's in the labyrinth when
okay.
Yeah, and he's really amazing at it.
Nice.
He's one of we have a lot of circus performers locally who do like 5 different things, and he's one of them. Like, he can do juggling, and he can do this and this and this.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty amazing, especially like it's great as a producer, because if you really like their style and what they do, you can be like, okay, well, I don't need juggling for this one, but I know you know how to do this thing. So it's a nice way to kind of work with people for different things.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Who else do you have on there?
I mean, Tatiana.
Yeah. She does everything.
She does everything. Yeah. We have Drag King.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A drag king.
King, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Dustin Schlong. He's very well known locally.
Nice. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's playing the king in the opening group number, which I won't give away.
Yeah, don't.
Because it's
you have to pay to see it.
Yes, it's one of my favorite stories of all time. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. I'm kind of. Who else do you have?
Yeah. So I mean, we've got. I'm trying to figure out how much to give away, because we have another performer who does contortion. Her name's Grace Ramsey.
Okay. I don't know this person.
Yeah, and I don't know how she'll ask to be credited for the show, because sometimes we for one type of show will be credited in one way, and for another asked to be credited a different way.
Okay.
But I know that for like a lot of her circus type jobs, she goes by that. But she does contortion.
Nice.
And then we've got some people that do scary burlesque.
Yeah.
We've got some that do a little bit more classic. We've got one performer, Viola Baudette, who's just like she does very beautiful, but like sexy, kind of classical. We've got performer Dirty Duval, who she will be closing out the show with an act that is amazing. It's
nice. Giant,
and it's sure to make a impact on people. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big and impactful.
Big. Yeah. No, there are definitely some people bringing their A game for the show.
Nice.
There's a lot of fantastic local performers. I'm very, very excited for people to see. And I'll be revealing the entire cast probably early. I'm thinking Monday on the event. So if you check on the event on Monday, I will have the entire cast up.
Nice.
And then up until the show, I usually do little like hints towards like some of the acts you'll be seeing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
something playful.
Yeah. I like to give people like a little taste of what they're about to see, but not give it away, especially if it's an act that the fact that act exists is kind of the biggest punchline. Because some people, will say right up front, like this is what I'm doing, and some people wait until the very end to reveal what story they're doing.
Okay.
And sometimes you'll figure it out if you're like a big fan.
Okay.
But yeah, and there are definitely some acts like that in the show where if you are a huge horror fan, you might know what the story is, but otherwise you might not until the very, very end.
But specifically, it's the Victorian, horror. So it's very, very niche, so to speak.
Yeah.
But really, I mean, it informs so much of this pop culture, anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. When I was growing up, of course, we all watched The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horrors, and you don't realize until you're older and you read the stories how many of like Victorian horror stories that they call upon.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some that were super duper obvious. Like they've got one where I think Bart is the Raven. So like that's very obvious.
I remember that one.
Yeah, but then there's a lot of just horror in general where you don't know until you're older that like, oh, that story was done on that show.
Yeah. Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. True. A lot of one of my other huge passions is I love the Twilight Zone.
Yeah. Twilight Zone's amazing.
Oh my gosh. So I didn't realize until I was watching the Twilight Zone as an adult how many of those stories are in The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Someday I'll do a Twilight Zone show.
Yeah. The Twilight Zone, I think Outer Limits also had an influence on the Simpsons. Mm-hmm. But thematically, I mean, there's so much crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's stuff from The Simpsons that have made its way into other things.
Right. Yeah, pretty much anything with animation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's adult animation.
Yeah.
That would be pretty funny if something like that ended up on like a Disney show or something.
Yeah.
Like Phineas and Ferb. There probably was. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who's to say?
I mean, I definitely watch a lot of like children's things from my childhood, but I'm not really into watching most of the stuff for kids now.
Right.
Because now, like when you watch stuff from when you were a kid, then it's the nostalgia thing.
Right.
And you're like, oh, I remember this, and I remember how much I loved it. But now it's just like, I can tell there's 5 apples there. You're not fooling me because I'm an adult.
Yeah. Clearly not designed for your age group.
No, kind of not. Yeah. My favorite used to be on Dora the Explorer when she'd do the long pause, and she'd be like, "What's your favorite?"
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, I like that part too.
She's like psychotically looking at you.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, they just did that Dora the Explorer feature film too. I didn't hear anything about it. So. Yeah, I actually did watch it. It was charming. It was pretty charming, for what they were able to do. She breaks the fourth wall and asks the audience questions, and then everybody just looks at her and is like, "What is she smoking? What's wrong with her? Is that epilepsy? Is she having a seizure? What is going on?" Yeah. So there's like those comments. I was like, "Oh, that's sad." She's trying to engage the audience, and you're demeaning her.
Yeah, I mean, pretty sure she wasn't talking to us specifically.
No, not to us.
Probably slightly younger group.
Yeah, most definitely. It's still charming. It's still worth seeing. So I'm sure a lot of our horror friends are going to go watch that movie.
Yeah,
you should.
It fits.
Diversify.
It fits very well.
There's something else I was going to ask, and it's slipped right by all the Dora Explorer conversation. Oh no, that's totally on me. But it sounds like you've got fantastic. Oh, you have an amazing talent pool to pull from. Mm-hmm. A little redundancy there, but do you find Denver as kind of a bed of talent? There's a lot to pick from. There's a lot of diversity.
We have a lot of performers.
Yeah.
We don't have great diversity in terms of race.
Okay.
We just don't. But we have a lot of diversity in terms of people's styles.
Okay.
And what type of style you're looking for. So it's actually really great because whether you want to do comedy or like a very specific niche theme or whatever, there's always going to be someone that not only do you think could do it, but probably has already done it.
Yeah.
We have a lot of local shows, and it's really fun to go and see people that maybe I don't even really know about. For as long as I've been doing this, there's still performers that I don't even know who they are. Because we just get cast in different shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got a lot of really fantastic performers locally.
Nice.
Yeah, and hopefully people will go and take advantage of the fact that there's so many different great shows going on and discover their favorites.
Yeah. For something like burlesque, how does one go about getting involved in doing something like
that? It's to be completely honest, it's a little more difficult now because a lot of our classes that used to be where I would send people. Those people aren't really doing it, but there are some classes available.
Oh, no
there's some performers. Bunny Galore does classes. So does the Clock Tower does something called Booty School about twice a year. There are there's some classes at a place called Tees. From what I understand, they seem to be more like dance. Burlesque, think of almost like Pussycat Doll type of style.
Oh, geez.
I haven't taken one of the classes, so I'm not sure. So find a, and from there are some shows that are really a great place to kind of dip your toe in to get started at. And from there, it's just kind of a matter of meeting people and going to shows and meeting other performers and finding out what kind of shows you want to do. I decided pretty early that there were specific kinds of shows that I wasn't as interested in as others, just like styles that maybe didn't fit quite what I wanted to do. And I've kind of, stayed with a couple of the same shows over and over just because they're the ones who tend to do the styles I like. But it's one of those things where unfortunately there's no easy answer. It's a lot of meet people, and even if you're an introvert, kind of force yourself to not be for a while. I used to have to tell myself, okay, you have to go people now.
Right.
Because like I tend to be very introverted, and I knew that the best way to get hired by people was to go to their show and talk to them and meet them. And that's kind of the best way, is to just like meet people.
Nice.
But I would say, if it's something that people want to start at, go to some shows, say hi to people, some of the performers you see, and tell them you're interested and see what they have to say. And if it's a show that's exactly the style that you want to get into, then that's the best option, because then they can tell you exactly how they got into that show.
Right. Yeah. Nice. For this In Darkness show, you're wearing a lot of hats. Are you also wearing the hat as a performer?
I am, yeah. Because I had some acts that I had already wanted to do. And then when I decided to do the show, I was like, well, that would be dumb for me not to do these acts I already wanted to do. So I have a couple acts in there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I'm also in the group act in the beginning.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
I definitely will not be doing stage managing because I'll be too busy backstage.
Good. Yeah, you're gonna relinquish it, delegate it to somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, it always ends up, when you're the producer, it always ends up being a little bit of all over the place, because even if you're doing something, there's like a guest who has a question and you're the one who knows the answer, so they have to come get you. But hopefully I will have people helping me that can kind of do that part for me.
Excellent.
That's always the hope.
Yeah.
It's a risk, like when you put on events, because you never know how well it's gonna be run. You do the best you can and you hope for the best.
Right. Well, it's probably just that much more fulfilling when it is at risk.
Yeah. I mean, if you manage to pull it off at the end of the night, it's a really great feeling, because you're just like, oh my gosh, like I did it.
Yeah.
And somehow I made it work.
Nice. Then you deserve that bowl of ice cream at the end of the night. Oh yeah. Or in a couple shots of whatever.
Yeah. Well, this show has a full bar, so I will probably be partaking.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
That's a victory drink.
Yeah. The show's it's actually an 18+ show. But we will be checking IDs at the door, because we do have a full bar available. But a lot of shows are only 21 and up, and I wanted to make it available for younger people, because I've actually done some shows where people are like, oh, well, my 19-year-old friend wants to come. And I mean, like, legally they are an adult, so if it's possible, I try to do that for people.
So it becomes a wristband thing.
Yeah.
Nice. That's cool. It sounds like an exciting show. I absolutely, wish you the best. I can't wait to see it. I'm hoping I'm able to come.
Yeah, so too.
So yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. We'll post the event page. It's got the ticketing information on there.
Yep. So it's got a link to the Eventbrite, which has all the possible information you want to know. And if anyone has any questions, certainly they can ask it in the Facebook group, or they can send me a message because I'm the person, the
grand doodah,
the person who put the event on,
the producer,
the Facebook group person. So if anyone has any questions, like certainly ask, and I will make sure to give you an answer.
All right. Well, thanks so much for coming on and having me over.
Thank you
to do this. It's always a privilege, and to be able to come and talk with people and learn what you do. Yeah. So anyway, is there a website too?
It's on Eventbrite. So
just go to Eventbrite.
Yeah, I had a link, but every time I try to type it in, it doesn't work. So I don't feel comfortable giving it to people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, just go to the Facebook page. We'll repost it. It's got the correct information on there, and that should be good. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm Daniel Crozier, and this is Polka Dottie, and amazing performer and producer of burlesque shows.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one. Bye. Thanks for checking in.